Welcome to the Phil Taylor Jones Show. Today, kind of come to you with a heart that's kind of low. Come to you with emotions that are raw, feelings of anger, disgust, mistrust. Now, I don't really know how I'm feeling right now, but I suffice it to say that I'm feeling so low that I could reach up to touch bottom. I'm Phil Taylor Jones, your host, and we're going to talk about some disgraceful, horrible things right now. December is supposed to be a month of joy and happiness, but two things have now come to the fold that are anything but. As we did a show just the other day about Sandra Bland, and the main part that I failed to mention about that was that the bastard that killed her, or at least started the ball rolling with her death, they didn't reach or didn't get an indictment on this guy. He's still on the force. He's still out there, potentially ready and willing to kill other innocent black women. And then just yesterday, the perpetrators of Tamir Rice's murder, these murderous bastards, I'm not going to call them officers because true police officers don't go around killing people. They protect and they serve. So these two murderers who killed 12-year-old Tamir Rice, no indictment. 12 years old. This kid will never see high school. He'll never go to the prom. I found out today that he was an avid lover of basketball, LeBron James being his idol. He'll never play basketball. He'll never experience his first date with his girlfriend, subsequently experience marriage, and possibly having a Tamir Jr. Why? Because of some rogue murderers who wear badges took his life within 1 second of encountering him. And the best that the prosecuting attorney could say is this was just a circus of errors. No, it was murder, pure and simple. They rolled up on this kid, and it was almost like the police officer that was riding shotgun, and no pun intended, jumped out of the car and shot the kid before the vehicle even stopped. The car rolls up on the kid. 1 second later, you see the kid go down. Then the other guy jumps out the car. It's too quick. Now, someone called in that they saw this suspicious looking person in the rec center or the park or whatever. Could be a juvenile, and the toy or the gun that was being used may not even be real. But yet the dispatcher failed to give the complete information to the officers that were to check this out, which I find very, very thin, like one-ply toilet paper from a convenience store. The dispatcher is the first line person to this officer that's going to respond. So why wouldn't you give that officer all the ammunition, knowledgeably speaking, that they could use so that when they roll up on a situation, they're fully equipped to know what to look for? Now, this dispatcher supposedly got the attire that the kid was wearing correct to the T, even down to the camouflage hat, but failed to tell him that it was a kid, possibly with a toy gun, which would, to me, not that I'm in law enforcement, but to me, informationally, speaking, that would be the most important information you could give me. Just as with Sandra Bland, there are so many holes in this story There are so many things covered over in this story. But yet, these two murderers walk. Now, let's look at the two murderers wearing badges. The one that actually did the shooting was from a little township there in Ohio. And his record was so horrid that they said that his being a police officer was a very dismal prospect. He couldn't properly handle a firearm, although he handled that one very well that day because he dropped a kid within 1 second of encountering him. They also said that his police ethic was something to be desired. And the one that was supposed to be the training officer, the guy driving the police cruiser, he had a checkered past because they had just paid off $100,000 to some woman that he had accosted and put in a chokehold and almost broke her wrist and was pummeling her and beating her to pay her off $100,000. But yet these two bastards are still on the force to this day to kill another 12-year-old. It also was brought to the forefront that this prosecuting attorney, after carrying this out for over 400 days, cherry-picked, hand-picked, glove-picked, whatever terminology you wish to use, the expert testimony of, I believe it was 3 witnesses to corroborate his story that these murderers should get off scot-free. It infuriates me, ladies and gentlemen. It does. It infuriates me. How many lives have to be lost? Speaking of that, I don't blame the Chicago residents for wanting to demand Rahm Emanuel get his scroungy ass out of office because he is a demon. Anybody that's equated with "oh bastard" is no damn good. And this Rahm Emanuel is no damn good. And if you're listening at me, Rahm, get out of office. You disgraceful, nickel sick bastard. McDonald went down 16 shots. And to add insult to injury, just this past weekend, there was a kid that was acting somewhat strangely, supposedly wielding a metal or aluminum baseball bat. And they called upon the neighbor. I guess they lived in some kind of complex where Miss Betty Jones had to open the door to allow entry into the building. Not only did they kill the kid with the baseball bat, they killed Betty Jones, an innocent woman who was supposed to be trying to help them. They put, I think he told me it was 17 shots, because there was a difference. They said the news program that I watched on telly said 7 shots. But my brother found some information where it was possibly 17 shots into this person with the baseball bat, 19-year-old kid, and a 56-year-old grandmother, and the person was Betty Jones, who was trying to help him. She took 5 shots.
There was a video recording, and I could have sworn I heard 17 when they said that.
I wouldn't dispute you.
I'd have to double check.
It was either 7 or 17, but nevertheless, if it was just 1 and 1, these 2 people are dead. One was a question mark, and one was totally innocent, trying to help the police gain entry into the building. This is going too far. Shoot, kill, shoot, kill. Now, as I said before, it's not exclusive to black folks being killed by white officers. White officers kill white people. White officers kill Hispanic people. This is true. But I do believe in my heart of hearts that if white officers were killing a lot of white folks, the news whores, the way they are, they wouldn't cover that up. But it's getting all too familiar for these white cops, rogue cops, to go around killing black folks. Why? Because they know they're going to get away with it. They're not going to be indicted. They're not going to be brought up on charges. It's kill, get rid of black folks, move on to the next black face. And I'm sick of it because my face happens to be black. This is ridiculous. I'd like to see the numbers on how many of these rogue murderers that pretend to be cops are closely associated with white supremacist groups. That would be an interesting correlation. Very interesting. It's ridiculous. In this day and age, I wouldn't want to be a cop. Because let me say this. Once you lose a person's trust, and once you make them afraid of you, that person then becomes a very dangerous individual to encounter. Because they don't know what you're going to possibly do to them, and they're going to do you in first. So what's going to happen if this crap is going to be allowed to fester? Because we're sitting on a powder keg, folks. There's very little trust between civilian and police, especially in the black community. So I would not want to be a police officer in this day and age with this kind of crap going on. Because as I have said on so many other episodes, there's a lot of good cops out there. A lot of good ones. They would lay down their life to protect you. Good folks, family folks, even single ones, are good. But because of the actions of these murderous bastards that look like cops, and in some cases act like cops, but if you got a black face, they will blow it off faster than a cat can say meow. A lot of good, innocent, hardworking, loyal, well-meaning cops will get killed because of these bad ones. And I fear for those honest-hearted police officers' lives. Police lives matter. But if these crooked prosecutors and these crooked government officials don't get their acts together and start prosecuting these murderers that go around looking like cops, a lot of good ones are going to go down. And that would be a tragedy. Because we need good police to help maintain law and order. But this is getting out of hand. Every day, somebody's getting killed. And these bastards are going for the jugular. They're not trying to, slow the person down. They're trying to kill them. Headshots, heart shots. They have tasers and things on them, but why do they have them? Their intent is to pull that gun and blow you away. Right and proper. And permanently. They pull a gun on you, there is no coming back. Or in Sandra Bland's case, if they take you to jail, you'll come out feet first because they're going to make sure that they kill you and, you committed suicide. And there's so much corruption in the legal system. So much. Withholding information, falsifying information, losing information. Just so long as the black body ends up in a black body bag. The cousin of Tamir Rice was just saying they got through Thanksgiving. They got through Christmas. They got through the mother's birthday. With an empty place at each one of those events because Tamir is no longer there. Just like with Sandra Bland. And if you wonder, why does he keep bringing up Sandra Bland? Because like Tamir, the woman was innocent. Tamir was innocent. A 12-year-old kid playing and frolicking in the park, and two murderers roll up on him and kill him. They might as well have been gang members. Now, if I were a parent I don't know the situation as to why Tamir had the gun. They say that he had this toy gun, that it was his friend's gun. His friend took off the little orange nozzle to let anybody know that that's a toy gun, not a real one. But I guess, he wanted it to look real, so he took off the little orange cap. And I don't know by which way Tamir came by this gun, whether he had been over to the friend's house prior to being at the park, and he, how kids lend kids toys and what have you, and they play, or what was the thing. But I know if I had been a parent, especially a black parent, I would tell my kid, the last thing that you want to be out in public with, toy or not, is a gun. Knowing the way people feel about weaponry, especially guns, that's something you don't want to play with, Tamir. You want to play with a ball, big orange one, basketball, because you love basketball. You play with a basketball, you play with a baseball, you play with a frisbee, fly a kite. But the last thing, some little Hot Wheel cars or whatever, last thing you want to be out in public with is anything that remotely resembles a gun. You don't even want to point your fingers out in the way of a gun. We are black folks. I know, and you might say, well, Phil, you're being awfully pessimistic, but this is a pessimistic time. I know that every time I step out of my front door, I might not make it back alive if I happen to encounter a police officer. If I'm stopped, I'm going to raise my hands in the car. If they tell me to get out, I'll put my hand outside the door and open it. I'm not going to reach down in it because you might think I'm reaching for a gun. I'll reach, outside to open the door and get out with my hands up and pray that the bastard won't shoot me. I'm not going to, just because they're the ones with the guns, and they will kill you. These rogue cops that don't appreciate or have any kind of respect for human life are just like some of these muzzy extremists. They will kill you just as soon as ask you your name. And for a black person in America, that's a bad situation to be in. Who's going to get you first? The rogue cops or the muzzy extremists? We're sitting on a powder keg and it's going to blow. And as I alluded to earlier, I'd hate to be a cop in this country because black folks are losing trust in those that supposedly are there to protect and serve. And on first glance, do I not trust you as a police officer? You bet your ass I don't. Because I don't know what's in your heart until after you approach me. Are you going to approach me with a gun in your hand? Or are you going to approach me as one of those kind-hearted officers, just, really out there, say, well, hey, you might have been speeding, or you got a tail light out, or your tire's a little flat, and we just wanted to let you know, or are you just going to walk up on me and blow my brains out just because I happen not to be of the Caucasian persuasion? So when you first walk up at me, do I trust you? Hell no. I'll let you make your move first, and then I'll ascertain as to whether or not you can be trusted. And that's a bad situation for a peace officer to be in. And as I alluded to earlier, again, I don't want our innocent, hardworking police officers to get killed because of some dirtbag, some sleazebag that's putting on a badge and pretending. Those officers want to go back home to their children and their loved ones. They should be able to come in and put in their 8-hour day, protect and serve, which they're good at, and then go home the same way they left, in one piece. Having said that, my brother was telling me they had done some kind of Gallup poll as to who were the most liked, admired people in the world. One Bersnot, insane, oh bastard, and Slithery Clinton were at the top of the list. 1 and 2, or was she over him?
Well, man and woman.
Oh, okay. So he was first. She said the most admired people in the country, 2 of the most crookedest, larcenist, slimiest. I have run out of euphemisms to call these two bastards. Reason 1 through infinity why our judicial system is so screwed up, because you've got the scum of the earth being admired. Those would have been the last two I would have put on the list. God, the mentality of this country just baffles the hell out of me. And just to think, we've got another year to go with this nickel-stick piece of crap called a bastard. And unless my wooden gods have fooled me, the slithery Clinton could end up being the next president. And then that means the country would go from bad to worse. So, I mean, my heart is really heavy today. A 12-year-old kid gone. And the two murderers, and with your permission, I'll say it again, murderers that killed him. No contest. They're off. They're guilty.
No justice and no peace unless you happen to have killed a white person. Speaking of how things are so backwards in this country, 2 Louisiana cops who were previously cleared of wrongdoing in killing 6-year-old Jeremy Martis are now being arrested for the murder of him. And the reason for doing that is quite strange considering what's been going on with the Black Lives Matter movement. There has been a lot of buzz and outrage regarding the killing of this poor little white kid, which likely forced the authorities into the rare position of charging their own with their crimes. If there's been such a buzz and outrage regarding a killing of a white kid, why all of a sudden do they get charged for murder? And all these cops that kill black kids don't get charged at all. I'm sure the Black Lives Matter movement is a hell of a buzz and an outrage, but it doesn't qualify. And that's insane. It's totally the opposite of the way it should be.
With that in mind, there was a reporting of a 66-year-old white woman, and she was out in front of the police station taunting the police with a toy gun, making noises, boom, boom, I hate cops, I want them dead, all kinds of crazy stuff. They tell her to drop the gun, she drops it, she walks away with her life. You're talking about a 66-year-old mature person, although she wasn't acting mature, but a grown person walks away. 12-year-old black kid, not even menacing to the cops. They took abuse from this woman for about 15 minutes. She walks away. Tamir Rice never had a chance. He never saw it coming. Poor kid's dead within 1 second of their arrival. And then they accosted his 14-year-old sister. She couldn't go to see what was wrong with her brother. No, while the kid's lying there bleeding all over the place, dying, they're tackling the 14-year-old sister to the ground and ending up throwing her in the cruiser. Just feet away, she can look out the window and see her brother possibly gasping his last breath. I mean, this is sick. This is beyond sick. This is demented. They should be brought up on charges of premeditated murder, because when they rolled up on that kid, you could plainly see it was a kid. I mean, come on. You've driven up many times and say, oh, there's some kids playing there. You can even tell a kid from a little person. They knew it was a kid, but when they saw it was a black kid, they wanted to kill him and subsequently did. Now, what if they had rolled up on a white kid? Would that kid still be alive? Okay, probably there's some out there that don't like what I just said. Why are you talking like that? You act like it's a racial thing. Well, it is a racial thing. How many black folks, just in this year alone, have died at the hands of white cops or those that pretend to be cops? And as I said before, I'd like to see the equation of how many of these murderers that are dressed up like cops are closely associated with white supremacist groups. And I think that even goes all the way back to bastards first getting into office. Because a lot of black folks are going around saying, oh, my person is black. We own this bitch. I know there's always been racism in this country, and there's been a hatred of black people, and black lives have never mattered, and they matter even less now. But I wonder how much of this psychologically is going around in the minds of these monsters that are going around blowing away black people as a subliminal message to show to the black communities in America that you don't own this bitch, and we don't care if your president appears to be black. Something's going on that's very sinister here, ladies and gentlemen. And kids are getting killed, innocent kids, innocent people. As I said, some of the other murders that happened at the hands of cops, you know, as heinous and as questionable as they may be, some of the victims possibly had checkered pasts. You know, brushes with the law. Tamir Rice, he never had a criminal record. He was a 12-year-old kid. The kid loved basketball. He liked playing around. He had little pictures putting up the peace sign. He was a cute little kid. Sandra Bland had no criminal record as I know of. The woman worked for a living. She took care of herself. She wanted to relocate to Texas. She was in the process of going on an interview or lining up interviews when she was ripped out of her car, hurled to the ground, taken to the clink, and killed under the guise of her committing suicide. When will it end? We're sitting on a powder keg. I just had to weigh in on that. It seems like every other day there's some business about somebody being murdered and somebody getting away with it. We'll keep an eye on it as usual. I think Chris wants to put in something else.
And speaking of shooting when they shouldn't be shooting, even though this person I spoke of earlier, his name is Chris Few, the officers, there's some details on what exactly happened. The officers were pursuing Chris Few regarding a warrant. They fired into his vehicle, which was occupied by the man's 6-year-old son. Both occupants were hit and the child died from the injuries on the scene. Chris Few was not armed and is not known why officers fired upon him, considering that he presented no immediate danger to officers or fellow citizens. And there's still a question as to why he did that. Why they did that. You're shooting into the back of someone's car just for something simple as a warrant, and killed the kid, and he's in the hospital. That was a month ago, but
there's no question. They just want to kill. They're out there to kill. These rogue bastards that put on them 10 badges. You know, there needs to be a better way by which police officers are chosen to serve. They said that this guy that shot Tamir had this big record. Didn't know how to use a firearm properly, was a horrible police officer, shouldn't ever have been a police officer, yet the Cleveland police that do the selecting selected the bastard without properly doing the background checks and the screening work on this guy. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. The father said Jeremy Martis, the one that got killed, his son, didn't deserve to die like that. Was said of the incident, which left the child with 5 bullets in his lifeless body. His father is still in the hospital. It is not known whether the officers knew there was a child present when they tried to murder his father. Like you said,
no, yeah, 6-year-old
they don't
kid.
know what's going on, and they just shoot anyway. Shoot first and don't ask questions later, like something that was said on the program concerning the Black Lives Matter people. They need to stop shooting first and asking questions later.
Well, contingent upon, you know, the kid. And I remember this. It was a little kid. So, and I think it was a truck they were in, a pickup truck. And yeah, a little kid, you can't, you know, his head's not even up past the door, the bottom of the door there. So, you know, just the heinous way they go about doing these things is ridiculous. So, like I said, we'll keep an eye on various incidences for you folks, and this thing it really gets me because, like I said, this is a kid, and now his life is gone, and these two murderers get off. That murderer that perpetuated Sandra Bland's heinous demise gets off. It's sick. So as we possibly go into the new year, what's going to happen next is anybody's guess, but try your best to maintain some kind of joy and be very careful, whether you're white, black, green, purple, chartreuse, be careful of these police officers because you don't know which one is the good one or which one is the dirty one that will kill you. And if you happen to have a face that looks like mine or the same complexion, you need to be super careful because you got a target on you. I got a target on me every time I step out the door. Makes me wonder whether or not I'm going to come back alive. So maintain some kind of air of joy and stay safe. And thank you for joining the Phil Taylor Jones Show. We'll see you next time.